to the Putnam County Republican Club. I'm President Tony Hodge. This is my wife, Jessica. These are my boys, Hayden and Lennon. They're going to be hanging out here with us tonight, giving us a hand. So anyway, I'm glad everybody could join in. Let's go ahead and we'll open with prayer before we get started. Lord, I just come to you right now, and I just thank you for this opportunity to be able to meet this way. Lord, I thank you for this technology where even though we have to be separated, we could still come together and visit with one another and fellowship. And Lord, I just pray right now over our area and all the people, Lord, against this coronavirus pandemic. Lord, I pray right now that you'll just start healing our land of this. We pray right now that this thing goes in Jesus' name. We pray right now that our economy begins to recover. Lord, I pray over everyone who's been affected by this physically, anyone who's had an effect or their family, Lord, I pray over them right now, and I pray for healing in their bodies, Lord. I pray over all the families who, all across the country, who have unfortunately lost loved ones, Lord. I pray for them right now that you would give them comfort and peace. And Lord, I just pray that we'll overcome this, that we'll come out stronger than ever before. I thank you for our freedoms and our rights that are endowed by you, and I pray right now that you protect those during all this, Lord. And we just thank you for all that you're doing and all that you're going to do and all the needs that you're going to provide. We thank you for these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. All right. And we'll go ahead. I think Hayden's going to lead us in the pledge. So he's got his flag here. So get in the camera shot there and we'll say the pledge. Go ahead. Start.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, guys. Good, good. I should have stood and didn't even think about it, but I would have been angle. Okay, if you got my email, you saw Zoom meeting guidelines. If you need to speak, just physically hold your hand up and keep it held until I recognize you. If you hold it up for a pretty good while and I don't recognize you, go ahead and unmute your microphone and just say my name so that I'll know. If we do have to make motions or vote, again, by the raising of a hand, and if I don't see you, go ahead and speak up. So that's the meeting guidelines. Now, is Nuwasa here? Has anyone seen Nuwasa? She said she might not be here. She's the secretary of the club, so she's not here. I did distribute the minutes on the March meeting in email, so I will entertain a motion to dispense with reading of the minutes and approve them as having been read. I see Kathy has made that motion. Do we have a second? Chris has seconded. All those in favor will say aye by raising your hand. Those opposed will say no by raising your hand. And the ayes have it and the motion passes. Excuse me. Hey, guys.
upstairs.
Settle down. All right. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. Okay, Treasurer.
It's the same thing Mr. Carmichael has to do in the Senate, so it's fine.
Right. I need a gavel. We'll have to get us a gavel. All right, Treasurer's report. Sherry said she wouldn't be here, but she sent me a report, and she says we have $2,269.99 in our checking account, and the financial report was filed with the Secretary of State's office on time on April the 6th. Next is report. Chris, I see Chris. Go ahead.
Just could you repeat that number so I can get it down for the minutes, please?
Yes, ma'am. By the way, thank you, Chris, for taking the minutes in Nuwasa's absence. I appreciate it. $2,269.99.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Sorry. Any outstanding bills?
No outstanding
Okay.
bills.
Good deal. Thank you.
All right, let's see. So, reports of standing committees. I know the events committee did not meet. I do have a couple things to say as far as the events committee goes. We were going to do the Main Street Festival in Hurricane. That has since been canceled. We had made a motion before to go ahead and write a check out to get a vendor spot, but we haven't written it out yet and it got canceled, so that's null and void. We won't worry about that. As far as the Unity Day on June the 20th, we did secure the FMC shelter at FMC Sportsman's Club for that event. That check has gone through. And that's on June the 20th, Saturday, and we're playing that by ear right now. We don't know what's going to happen with that. So we're just kind of keep that there and go along as best we can. Is Shirley Searles here for executive committee report? Anybody see her in the room? I don't see Shirley. So no executive committee report. Putnam County Women, is Cindy Farley in here? I don't see Cindy Farley. So no Putnam County Women's report. Let's see. Ms. DeWeese, do you have anything on that?
Really have any updates? We are still scheduled to have our meeting, and I think Cindy's still going to do that via Zoom like you guys are doing right now. So other than that, we don't have really anything else going on. I do know that we are talking about doing Meet the Candidates for next month. Should things open up, the governor has talked about possibly doing something next month to open things up. Should that happen, I know that we had talked about doing Meet the Candidates next month at First State Bank. So if that does happen, I am sure that we will try to get that meeting squared away and get all the information updated and out to everybody and get something done for our candidates before the election.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, that's right, because we did have a Meet the Candidates event. It's scheduled for April 16th here in Hurricane. And of course, it's been canceled. So that'll be good, maybe moving forward if we could get something like that going again. So thank you for that update. We appreciate it. We'll get in touch with Cindy. Thanks, Debbie.
No problem.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Moving on. Oh, I want to announce this, and Dave's here. Dave, if you have anything to add on this, I'll go ahead and start. But obviously the election dates have been moved. June 9th is thank you. June 9th is the election day, and early voting starts May the 27th, and June 3rd is the deadline to apply for an absentee ballot. So Jessica's actually working the polls this year, so we're going to go early vote. We're just going to go vote in person because that's just what we like to do. But anyway, absentee balloting or absentee voting is open. Dave, do you have anything to add on that?
No, the applications have gone out. I know my wife and I just got ours on Friday. And so it's just like any other absentee ballot application, you just send it in, and there's a form on it that says the reason, and it says you can actually mark the COVID-19 as your reason, and then you send it back in, and then you will then get the ballot in the mail. But the polling places, unless something changes between now and then, are still going to be open. One thing across the state of West Virginia, there may be some moving of polling places, maybe some consolidated polling places, so you may not be voting where you have in the past, but I'm sure Brian will do a good job of explaining that to people as to if some of those polling places, because we're quite frankly looking at a lot of poll workers calling in sick and saying that they're not going to be there. So that may necessitate us having to move some, not us, but the counties having to move some polling places around. So Brian always does a great job, and all of our county clerks do for that matter, of keeping people involved. So keeping people up to speed of what's going on.
I did notice on the card that we got in the mail, and we did receive the card in the mail, that on the back it shows if you're registered Republican, Democrat, Mountain Party, or whatever. Well, do you have to mark that on there, or will the clerk already know what ballot to send to you?
No, I mean, I would go ahead. It just makes their life a lot easier if you go ahead and mark it. I mean, they're obviously, when they look up Tony Hodge, they're going to know liberal Democrat. But I would go ahead and mark that just to make, because they're going to be getting so many of these in at one time that anything you can do to make the clerks and their staff's life easier, I think would definitely be appreciated. I mean, they're still going to do their due diligence and make sure that in our standard voter registration system that everything's right. But if you can put them on the right track, it would help them.
All right, thank you, Dave. Chris, I see your hand.
I had a question for Dave. A lot of people have been texting me saying that they're independents, but their absentee application didn't say the word independent. It says nonpartisan, correct?
Yeah.
So
independent, nonpartisan, no party, depending on.
Okay.
I mean, we tried to get the forms as uniform as possible.
Okay.
So yeah, that's all the same thing, and make sure
Okay.
that people know that independent, no party, nonpartisan.
with that, they get to request which party ballot they want, right?
Right, but they have to request it. And that, and
Okay.
then like we talked about the meetings before, even on election day, when they go in, they have to look at the poll worker and they have to say, I am an independent, but I want a Republican ballot or a Democrat ballot or whatever, because if they don't, poll worker can't say, okay, which ballot do you want? They cannot do that.
Okay.
So make sure that they know that going in, that they have to actually say, I'm an independent, but I want a Republican or a Democrat ballot, whatever the case may be.
Well, what will be sent to them if they don't make that specific on the
Nothing.
application?
What the poll worker should do is, I mean, normally on the table, it spells that out in front of the poll book, and they may literally.
No. I'm asking about absentee.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm asking about absentee. If they don't check that when they send the absentee application back, what will they be sent?
Then, well, they need to make sure they do that. They
Okay,
have to do that. They have to do that.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay, Debbie, I see your hand.
Yeah. Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Reiterating on that, I think that it would probably be good. I know that we can put something on our page. Tony, I think you won't care either. We could probably put on both of our pages some information that could be supplied to us about sharing and educating the voters about that specific question that Chris just asked. I know that there's a lot of information on the Secretary of State's page as well about that specific question, and we could probably, both of us could get it on our pages, Republican pages, along with all of us sharing as much as we can and getting it out to the public as much as we can with our personal Facebook pages or anything else, and sharing that information, moving forward. But that's a great question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So, and the best place to go, I know Secretary Warner has said over and over, to get the most accurate information, go to govotewv.com. And
Yes.
you'll have all the up-to-date information, everything you need to know. Go vote WV. So even if we don't have the information on hand, we can at least link to his site and people can go on there and find it. So any other questions about voting? All right, we're gonna move on. Any unfinished business? Any new business? I didn't schedule any new business on this particular meeting because I wasn't sure how it was going to go or who was going to show up, and quite frankly, I have no idea what we're going to be doing moving forward. So we're going to kind of play things by ear right now. So no new business right now. With that being said, I don't really have much else for everyone else tonight. Does anyone have anything they want to say? Any motions they want to make? Any comments before we move forward? All right, Mr. Newbraw. Hold on, you're muted. Hold on. Okay.
Better now?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that this past month and a half, I've registered 60 people to vote. So that's been my main focus up here on the Northern Panhandle, was getting people pre-registered, either change their party affiliation. And it's been going pretty good. A lot of people are sick of the Democrats down here. So we've been doing our work up here, getting people registered to vote.
That's awesome. That's something that all of our club members here in Putnam County, they know that we've been working on trying to get Putnam County to be a Republican majority. We have a Republican plurality, but we want it to be a Republican majority, and we're all working on it. And every month we check those numbers on the Secretary of State's website, and every month, and they keep inching up. So we're doing what we're doing down here. You do what you need to do up there, and we'll keep this state in the right direction and not in the left direction. All right. Anything else? Anybody else? Last call. All right. All right. Well, good. Well, at this time, it is my high pleasure to introduce to you a guy that I think just about everybody here knows. And I know I've watched him plenty on the West Virginia Legislature website as I go throughout my day when they're in session, and that's always fun. Yeah, let me go ahead and unmute you. So anyway, it's my pleasure. I would shake your hand, but we can't even do that. All I have to do is say hi. But anyway, Senate President Mitch Carmichael, welcome to the Putnam County Republican Club. Glad to have you, and the floor is all yours, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Tony, and thanks for everyone that's participating tonight. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just making sure you can hear me all right. Well, I am coming to you from the Capitol this evening, and thank you for allowing me and inviting me to join the meeting this evening. Talk to you a little bit since we're unable to get face to face and share with us, share with each other the accomplishments really and the challenges that we face as a state. And it's been my privilege over the past 4 years to, well, 3.5 years to serve as the president of the West Virginia Senate. And it's an honor that, you know, it's the honor of my life, really. And I wouldn't be here if not for Putnam County. Putnam County is, has put West Virginia in many ways on the right track. It's because of the people of West Virginia, or it's because of the people of Putnam County, that West Virginia has been led in this direction. In fact, it was only a few short years ago that the West Virginia Senate was controlled by Republicans by an 18-16 majority. One person, one senator who hadn't won election in the Republican Party would have changed the entire trajectory of this state. So over the past 3-4 years, we inherited, and I came to the leadership role, we inherited a state in a drastic condition of decline. We had the highest unemployment rate in the nation. We had the highest percentage of people on welfare. We had the highest computer literacy rate, and some of the lowest literacy rates in America. All these markers of a failed previous leadership team under the Democrat Party. They had driven West Virginia for 85 years right down to the bottom. And since that time, we've been on the march forward. We have in 2019, we recorded the fastest gross state product growth in America. We added more jobs and we had increased our wage rates more than any other state on a percentage basis. All of these markers of incredible success. And it was my privilege to lead the Senate during that transformation of our economic condition in West Virginia. Furthermore, we fought and won many victories for the pro-life cause. I'm the senator, when I was majority leader, that made the motion to override a Democrat governor's veto of pro-life measures. And we sustained that override of the veto. It was an amazing moment in the state Senate. And it was actually an emotional and amazing and historic moment to override a Democrat governor's veto of a pro-life measure. And the last time that a gubernatorial veto was overridden was during a Democrat regime when they passed a pay raise for themselves. That's the difference in the leadership of the West Virginia Senate and the House of Delegates and the legislature under this leadership team of Republican control. And as we confront this pandemic, and I thank you for your prayer in the opening prayer about how we need this recovery, we need this healing of our people and of our land. And we've taken all the necessary steps, we believe, from a healthcare perspective. We've closed many of and we've listened to the public health experts in making those decisions. Now it's also time to begin planning for reopening of American free market capitalism and the ability to earn and be productive in our society. And so we're in the midst of planning those recovery points. And you saw today that the governor of Texas has released a plan, the beginnings of an implementation of a resurgence of the Texas economy. And many northeastern state governors are also planning the reopening. And we're in the preparation stages of that as well. Full disclosure, though, we'll be 400 million probably under our revenue estimates for this year up through June 30th. So it's going to be a very difficult time. And I know this governor's relying on the federal government to backfill a lot of our revenue needs, but there are things we need to do on our own in West Virginia, and we'll be taking those steps. And so I just wanted to, I'll keep it very brief tonight, but let you know that we're on the right path in this state, and it's because of the Republican leadership, and we've taken very challenging stands for moving the state forward. We've implemented the right to work legislation. We did away with the prevailing wage requirements in West Virginia that made and forced non-free market decisions as to what you should pay your employee on a public works project. We've taken steps for the pro-life measures. We've maintained our Second Amendment rights and expanded our Second Amendment rights with constitutional carry. We've done all of these markers of conservative Republican principles over these past several years. I'm proud to have led those efforts. I've been endorsed by the West Virginians for Life. I'll be endorsed by the National Rifle Association and Business and Industry, State Chamber of Commerce, all these conservative groups that promote free market capitalism and social conservatism. And so, again, it's with immeasurable pride that I come to you from the Senate President's office in the Capitol. I never come in here without thinking about Putnam County and the debt that I owe Putnam County for putting me in this role. And I hope that I've been able to deliver for you in a manner that makes you proud as Putnam Countyans to have sent the Senate President to this role. Also mentioned, I get a lot of grief about education policy in West Virginia, and we had to make some changes. We absolutely had to make some changes. We were ranked in a poor condition. So I think everyone agrees that you want to do the best you can, right? And so I put together this little chart, and it's all true here. I don't know if you can see it or not. Can you see this?
Hold it up just a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. So over this period of time that the Democrats controlled the legislature, you can see, or can you? Can you see? Yeah. There were no pay raises. I mean, they basically had no pay raises. And since the time that I've been Senate President, that's the trajectory of our education per teacher pay raise. This is from the West Virginia Department of Education, per teacher compensation rates. And so, this is an average rate. So, but I just wanted to point that out for anyone who's concerned about from an education investment standpoint. We've made enormous, incredible investments in our education delivery system in West Virginia. And we want to see results because we want, and we expanded homeschooling options as well. But because we want this West Virginia to be the best place in America to live, work, raise a family, and educate your children. So for all those reasons, we're continuing to work on civil justice reform, education reform, regulatory reform as the pillars of our plan to move West Virginia forward. And as obviously we'll be dealing with the growth of the coronavirus and how we respond economically and from a public health perspective. And the public health is our primary concern, but we also have to, this is two-pronged recovery approach, public health and economic vitality. So happy to answer a few questions. I don't want to take a lot of your time, but thank you so much. And it's an honor and a privilege to be with you this evening, even if it's virtually.
All right. Well, thank you, Senate President. That was great. And I do wish that we would be able to meet in person, but it's, it's the next best thing. So I know I was talking to one of our members earlier, and I was trying to decide whether we wanted to call this our quarantine meeting or our Brady Bunch meeting. So I don't know.
That's great.
I have a question for you. I did hear on the radio today, they were talking about the possibility of maybe getting the legislature back in session because of the budget shortfall. What do you think the chances of that happening are?
I think it depends on the manner. Right now, it would be absolutely necessary because we, as I mentioned, will be $400 to $500 million under our revenue projection just through June 30th. And so right now, the care packages that's produced from the federal government has a lot of requirements on the money. West Virginia will receive at a minimum $1.25 billion. But in its current form, it cannot be utilized for backfilling revenue shortfalls. And so it can only be used for expenditures relating to COVID responses. And that will be not enough money to get us through the end of the year. And I'll say, we passed a very conservative budget these last 3-4 years. So it's not like we're overspending, we had to reduce expenditures in certain areas so that we could provide investment in education and other areas. But we've turned this economy around. We're moving in the right direction. Very conservative budgets. In fact, the first year that I was Senate president, you may recall, the governor came to the legislature and proposed an enormously expanded budget. And we said no. And he piled on our budget in the middle of the Capitol. And but then he wouldn't sign the budget, but we ultimately ended up passing the same budget. And it's because of that budget that we ran the surplus over the past years and were able to invest in our education. But I think that the federal government will make the changes that are necessary and will preclude us or avoid us having a special session at least until the June, July timeframe. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, that would be good. We'll have to see what comes down. Okay, Senator Carmichael did say he would take a couple of questions. So if you have a question, if you'd raise your hand and I'll call on you. So Mr. Newbrough, I'll see you first. Let me unmute you. Hold on just a second. Well, I hit unmute here. You may have to hit it there. There we go. Go ahead.
Senator, I just got a quick question. If you can do me a favor to check in on something. I told Catherine about this earlier today, that one of my friends up here that owns a bowling alley, that his wife and his father are both employees of his. They got denial letters from the unemployment office since his business been shut down from unemployment. Do you know if that's the case with the law, that they're not available to collect unemployment benefits?
It's my understanding that they would be available in the affirmative, available for unemployment compensation. I'm assuming it's a sole proprietorship or it's a family-owned business.
Yeah, it's a bowling alley. Yes.
So, yeah, a couple of different ways they can go about this. They can apply for the SBA loan, which as long as they use it they can get up to $25,000, I think, depending on the revenue stream. As long as they use that for employee compensation, which would include themselves, utilities or rent, that would not have to be paid back. But if they do lay themselves off, they should be available for or eligible for unemployment compensation.
Now, he's already received his SBA loans, like he showed it to me last night, which I've informed Kathy about it today. The way that their SBA loan that's come approved as far as his business goes, the bank, the SBA is going to pay his mortgage for the next 6 months. So he's not going to have any kind of entitlement cash money coming to him. But like I said, his wife and his father, they both, he issues them a paycheck just like any other regular employee, and they were turned down. They got their denial letters in the mail that they're not going to grant unemployment benefits for them to pay them their money.
No, well, that's not my understanding. And maybe if you might double check when he applied for the SBA loan, if he said that he was not going to lay off any employees or anything like that,
right,
that may be the crux there. But I can follow up on that with you.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it, sir. Like I said.
Sure.
I think what it was is the unemployment office is saying that families that are employed will not, they won't pay anybody. They'll pay one person in the family only unemployment. Even if the wife is employed and the husband's employed and a child's employed, only one person they're approving out of that family.
All right, I had not heard that. So
there's something in the law, and I was trying to look it all up and figure it out. I'll send you a copy of the law that they were citing for it.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
Senator,
I can definitely follow up on that.
I've got the it's what they call the employment section 21A 1A-17. Exclusions from employment service performed by an individual in the employ of his or her son, daughter, or spouse. Excludes them from collecting unemployment benefits. So I don't know what bill that was passed in. It might have been way before you guys took over, as Republican Party has, or whatever else. But this is the issue that they just ran into. They were both denied.
I think this is a federal issue, but let me just follow up on that tomorrow, Jack.
I appreciate it, sir. I appreciate it.
Sure.
All right.
Oh, another thing, just to kind of let everybody know also, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I'm sitting there watching the president talk right now, but Mnuchin came on a little earlier. 80 million stimulus checks will be in your bank accounts this Wednesday. I got a notice already. Mine will be in this Wednesday, so they are coming.
Great.
All right. All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else have any questions for Senator Carmichael? Raise your hand if you have one. Last chance.
Last chance tonight. There'll be others.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Still a long way to go now that we've moved
Yes.
election day. So, all right, well, good. Well, glad. Senator, I just want to thank you for stepping up and doing this. I know it's kind of under different circumstances, but we appreciate it. I know all of our members appreciate it. I had several people text me and say whether they lost power or they couldn't get their computer to work or whatever, they wanted to be here and just couldn't make it. But anyway, we'll fill them in on what happened. I know our fill-in secretary there, Chris, has taken some good notes, so we appreciate that. Thank you all for tuning in on this new way of doing things. Hopefully it won't always be this way, but for right now, that's the way it is. We really appreciate it. Again, I'm gonna call it our Brady Bunch meeting because that's what it looks like to me. I just want to, But we appreciate you guys. If anybody has anything, raise your hand now. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and we'll adjourn this meeting. All right, guys, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks.